Hey everybody, and welcome to Board Game Heaven. My name is Raymond, and in this video I'm taking a look at a print and play prototype of Taelmoor by the Delft brothers, which is currently being funded on Kickstarter. And you can find it by clicking the link in the description below or the I in the corner of this video, and that will take you there. Now, this is a cooperative storytelling fantasy dungeon crawling game for 1 to 6 players, which plays in about 60 to 90 minutes for ages 14 and up. And this game uses an app to track your progress, to give you lots of lore about the game, to tell you what happens when you interact with things in this game. Because as you will notice, all of these tiles, the NPCs, the enemies you encounter, the items you can find, and even your own character cards will have QR codes on them that you can scan with the app, and then the app will tell you what happens. Now, you can try this out yourself by downloading the print and play copy like I did. I'll put a link in the description, or you can play it online on Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator. Simply go to the Delft Brothers Discord server, again, link in the description below, and there you can find more information or even people to play the game with. Now, in this video, I'll give you a short overview of what the game is about and how it works, and I'll play a bit of the introductory scenarios so you can see how that works, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. Taelmoor is a cooperative storytelling dungeon crawling game in which 1 to 6 players can play together and try to finish a story, overcome obstacles, solve riddles and fight enemies, talk to NPCs, etc. Now, what you're seeing here is a free print and play game that you can download from their website. I'll put a link in the description below so you can try it out, and it has 2 scenarios that you can play. The first one is a tutorial and the second is an introductory scenario that kind of shows you what the game is about and basically to give you a feeling of how it plays. The final version will of course have a lot more scenarios and cardboard cards, which are all double-sided, so you have a whole bunch of tiles that you can place on the table. You'll have your 6 character cards with their decks of cards that you use in battle. There's your regular basic abilities and your advanced abilities for each class. You'll have corridor markers that connect tiles together. Some tiles will have multiple tiles that form one big room. There are door tiles as well that also connect tiles together. And of course, this is a print and play version. The regular version will have a portcullis on one side and this scanning code, as you can see here, on the other. So all of these cards have these QR codes, as you've noticed, that will be used during the game. There's also a shared party inventory card that has 4 slots for items. There is also a spot for an item on your character card, and these are some of the items that you can find. They all have their own unique code, and again on the back they will have a QR code that you can scan and that will tell you something about that item. You'll also get a party marker, again print and play. The final version will have a actual pawn or maybe even a miniature if the stretch goal is unlocked. And the enemies and NPCs are all standees, not like these, but cutout standees on a plastic base, just like, for example, Gloomhaven has. And to try out this scenario, you simply go to tlm.gg that you can see in the top here. And this will take you to this testing app, which is basically made for testing, and it has the initiation test and answering the call, which is part 1, the first scenario. And it has some links to their Discord, their Kickstarter preview page, and their mailing list, so you can sign up for that. And if you click one of those, it will simply load a page that will take you to the first scenario. So here it says, "Welcome to Taelmoor," and anytime you see a link in the text, that means you can click it and read more about some of the lore of the game, because the writers have put a lot of backstory into this, and that's a lot of fun to read. And here it talks about the QR codes as well, and anything that is written in bold is important, so be sure to read that. But it's fun to read all of this, and then you can close this and start the initiation test in this case. So you have a game ID, so every player can play on their own mobile device, or you can play a hot seat version where you use one mobile device or even a tablet to pass around so that everybody can use it, or if you're playing solo with multiple characters, of course. So in this case, let's set up an example and I'll show you how that works. Alright, so for this tutorial scenario, the initiation test, I've selected the Barbarian and the Rogue to play a solo game. So I take their cards, I set aside their advanced cards, I don't use them for now, so I just put those to the side. And you take their regular abilities, their basic abilities, give that a shuffle and just put those cards next to your character's card. So that is your draw deck. And every player draws 5 cards in their hand. Keep your party inventory card close by, as well as the party token, and put all of the tokens in a pool, as well as all of the tiles and the corridors and the door tiles and your character standees. And then one of the players takes the app and opens the initiation test, which will give you a link, a unique game URL, and you can share that with anyone who's playing with their own device, or you just use one and play in hot seat mode where you pass the device around. And then you can scan a class to begin. So every player needs to use that same code so that all of the stories on their apps will match. So then you can pick a class, and now you'll see that you'll have this scanning box, and you just take your character that you want to scan and you hold your camera over it until it scans. Sometimes you need to hold it at a certain distance, and you'll see that it will pick up, in this case, the Barbarian. So I can confirm, just click confirm. And then I can add another character. You'll see here is the Barbarian, so you can check the icon there. So I want to add another character, so I'll try and add the Rogue here. There it goes. It's pretty quick with scanning. So I'll confirm, and there you go. That now it added the Rogue as well. So now if that's okay with me, I don't want to add another character, I can just begin the game. And now you'll get some backstory. Now you'll see the red bar on the top here will tell you that this is a private message for, in this case, the Barbarian. That was the first player we scanned. So the Barbarian can read this, and this part is basically flavor text. Anyone can read that. You can also just read that aloud. And if you again click the blue links, then with the books, then you will see some extra backstory that you can read. And then here it tells you your handler for a job that you're doing right now in this initiation phase is a man named Alder Mink. So he's actually a character here. The game will tell you to take that piece and put it on the board. So here it gives you some more story and tells you how to interact with all the items that you'll find in the game. So now you can close this if you've read it. And then the Rogue here gets a backstory. Now, of course, if you're not playing hot seat and everybody has their own device, they'll get their own story. And here it tells you this character actually has an item. The Barbarian didn't get anything, but the Rogue gets the lockpicks, and it tells you there that's item K6. So then you just look at your items and you search for item K6, which are these lockpicks. And these two will have a QR code on the back, and you can place that in the Rogue's inventory on the indicated spot. So then the app tells you that you also have an uncanny ability to find things due to a magical key, JQ, which is this item. So the Rogue also gains this item, and you can use those items anytime by scanning them. All right, let's move on. Starting the scenario. So now that we have selected the classes, we can all take our character card, which we already did, and their combat cards, and shuffle those. And the first room we enter is room A5. You can recognize that with the mountain icon. That's basically a location or a tile. And you can place the party marker on it, so that is where you currently are. So you search for tile A5 in your tiles. So that's this one over here. Just place that on the table and put the party marker on it. And as you can see, the room also has a QR code that you can scan if you want to look around in the room, for example. And the app in this scenario already suggests that to begin playing, you can try searching the room by tapping the inspect action button on one of the characters and scanning that QR code. Alright, so here again, that's the same text here. And this is still a beta testing app, so the final version will not be a browser-based app, but an actual app that you can download, and that will of course have all the stories, etc. So now you see that the barbarian has a green circle around the icon. That means it is the barbarian's turn. And then the bottom, you have these icons that basically tell you how you can interact with your environment. You can pass your turn if you need to. You can inspect things, interact, move to, or use an item. So let's use the barbarian to inspect, as they suggested, the room. So I press the inspect button, then it tells me inspect what. So I go to the tile, hover over the QR code, and it tells me, do you want to inspect the gloomy entrance? I can confirm. And then the trial begins. The inside of the building is just as rundown as the outside. It looks like it has long since been abandoned. So you just read out loud this story, and it is encouraged to actually role play and to use voices for all the different characters, which gets you some more immersion. And it tells you welcome to the trial and what you will find in that room, because we've searched the room and we see that Alder Mink is there. That's character EC, which is this character with its own unique code, and of course also a scanning QR code. So he's in the room with the party. And also the room contains a barrel, which is J8, and an old door to the north, which is D1. So this is token J8, which is the barrel, again with a code, which is in the room, and door D1, which is this tile. So I'll place that in the north over here. So now that we've included all the highlighted items in the room, we can close this. And basically, again, the same text. So now it's the rogue's turn. So we can use the rogue to interact with something in the room. Now the rogue has the lockpicks, which she could possibly use to unlock the door to the north if needed, and this divining key. So let's go ahead and try that to see what it does. I'll take the app and I'll press the use item because that is an item. I'll click that and I'll move to the divining key. Here it says, yes, it's the divining key, confirm. And then I choose a target for the divining key. I will simply, again, scan the gloomy entrance and confirm that. And now I get a text. You pull out your divining key and dangle it from its chain. Sure enough, you feel a slight tug towards the southeast. There is something hidden there. So that's pretty cool. Now we're back to the barbarian. So the barbarian doesn't have any items, but I could try and check out that barrel. So again, I flip over the barrel to the QR code side, and let's see how I want to do that. So I could simply interact with the barrel. So I'll pick the interact action. I'll go to the barrel. I don't want the gloomy entrance. I will redo that. Redo. And there it is, the barrel. So confirm that. Might have put them a bit too close together. So then you get a new text, and then the barbarian interacted with the barrel. And of course, being the barbarian, you pick it up and smash it against the wall repeatedly until you find an item, which is some rope, item JX, which tumbles from the broken barrel. So then I'll take that item, JX, here it is, and I can put that in our party inventory. I can also flip it around if I want to use it. So I'll put that in the party inventory. And that's basically how that game works. So you can move on and close this again, back to the rogue's turn. Let's also open the door and see what happens there. So I'm gonna use my lockpicks on the door. I could also just inspect the door first to see if it's locked or not. So I'll just put Alder to the side for a second. And yeah, I'll just inspect first before I use it. So then, where's the door? There it is. Let's just have that focus, the old door, confirm, and it is indeed, it's locked. The only door to the room is a stout oaken thing with a prominent metal lock on it. It's locked. All right, now we're back to the barbarian again. Well, he's not too handy with the lockpicks. He could bash the door, so I could try to interact with the door. Let's see what happens. The barbarian interacted with the old door. With Alder Mink watching, you crack your knuckles and prepare to show him your skills. Hopefully, this door isn't too strong for you. Without any more preamble, you charge at the door, sending all of your considerable weight into it. The jamb on the door explodes into wooden splinters as it gives way, flying open. It was no match for you. Another room, A6, is revealed to the north. So we've actually progressed here. So now we need room A6, and we move Alder Mink, that's EC, to the next room. So, all right, I'll take room A6, which is this one. I'll put that to the north, and Alder Mink moves here. So now the party can progress to that room as well. And that we do by selecting the move action. So again, here is the move to action. And it tells you move where. So I can scan the darkened parlor, which is that next room, confirm. So once the party has moved, a new piece of text will appear on the app as you enter the darkened parlor. You enter what appears to have once been a parlor or entertaining room and are surprised to see Alder Mink and another member of the Shattered Band waiting in the room ahead of you. "You didn't think we'd avoid testing your combat ability, did you?" your handler says as he draws his sword. "This will be a mock battle, so we will be using blunted weapons against you." So that's what happens here as we enter this new room. So here is the barbarian and the rogue on the bottom. And in the back, there's 2 enemies, and the app will have space for up to 6 enemies, 3 on the left and 3 on the right. And there are several icons in combat that you need to know of, which I will explain first. So I've printed the rulebook, and on this page you can see all the different icons that are in the app when you're doing combat. So you've got the target that you're targeting, which is these first 4 icons here. There's the top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right. That means the enemies. So the grid of enemies that you can have up to 6, like I said. So that means if you've got 3 on the left and 3 on the right, you can only target the top and the bottom ones, not the middle ones. Those can only be targeted once you've taken out one of the other combatants. There's a die, that means a random target, so the app determines who you attack or help in case of an ally. This heart means that targets the enemy or ally with the most health, or here the least health. The enemy or ally that does the most damage, so the strongest one. This targets yourself and all of your allies, and the little horned devils here, that's all the enemies. And there's also a revenge icon that targets every enemy or ally who is attacking the character this round. So the one that attacked you will be targeted. And those icons are all on the fighting cards, the combat cards. So let's just draw 5 cards for the barbarian here. So we've got hack and slash, which is a nice touch, I think. And they all have the amount of damage that they do on the card. Possibly some armor, some spells will give you additional armor. They have their own unique code and their QR code. And anytime if for whatever reason your QR code doesn't work or you don't have a device that can actually scan QR codes, you can always enter these unique codes, which are also on the rooms and on the items and everything. So you can always progress even if the QR code for whatever reason won't work. This is the speed, which is basically the initiative. The higher the number, that means that that card will get activated first. And like I said, the targeting icon, which tells you what is target. So here is the random target, etc. So you have all of these different ones. We have a couple of double ones. Some cards are in these decks multiple times. So then we need to choose which one to use. And that also goes for the rogue. So the rogue will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards in their hand. And they have a gas grenade, a flashbang, a stab card, and a backstab card. So then you simply decide what to use. So let me just put that to the side here. And maybe just put this to the side as well so you can see the cards. All right, let's take a look. If we look closely at the app, we can see that the left combatant has 39 initiative, their speed, deals 5 damage and will target the leftmost ally in this case. So there could be up to 6 allies as well, of course, because you can play up to 6 people. And the archer here has a speed of 29, deals 7 damage, and will target the bottom left. So that's both will target the barbarian in this round. The red bar is of course their hit points, so their health. So the first thing the app tells me to do is to scan a combat card for the barbarian. So let's say they're gonna go with the slash card. I'll just push this button here, and then I scan the slash card. It says your action / confirm. All right, and then scan a combat card for the rogue. So let's say the rogue is going to use a backstab. So let me just press that button and scan backstab and confirm. And now you will see round 1 will start. The barbarian will attack. He had the highest speed. Then the rogue. Then Alder Mink will attack. And lastly, the archer. So you can follow the combat here, and then it will tell you the round is finished, and that continues like that. And every time you've played a card, this is on your hand, you discard it. Just make a discard pile next to your draw pile, and at the start of each new round you draw back up to 5. So you draw another card, and then you can choose which one to scan and play. And that just continues like that until either the battle is lost or won. And then you can continue with the story. So if we finish this battle, something new might happen. And that's basically all there is to it. And of course, you will notice that all these cards also have an explanation of what they actually do. So you can read this and then decide, so who am I going to target with this ability? And will it trigger first or last or wherever in the order of cards that are being played? It has a nice picture and a text here. So the cards really explain themselves, and the app does all the administrative work for you. And that's basically how you play Taelmoor. Let's go to my final thoughts. So my final thoughts on Taelmoor by the Delft brothers. Now before I start, I need to point out again that everything you've seen here is a prototype print and play version of the game and by no means representative of the final product. So about the components, I can only say that I know that the final product will have thicker cardboard tiles. They will all be printed on both sides, so you have a lot more tiles than you see here, double-sided. Also the standees will be printed on cardboard, and they'll have the little transparent feet to stand them upright, and they will be cut out as well, just like the Gloomhaven standees that you might know. The tiles and the tokens like these will also be double-sided and a very thicker thickness than these, and the cards will be of normal quality that you also know from other games. So there's not a whole lot I can say about the components yet, but you can check out the Kickstarter page and see what it's going to look like. The artwork so far looks really nice. I like the tiles. I also like the art on all of the characters and the character cards here. It looks really colorful and bright, and I also like all the art on these cards. It's pretty abstract. It only has the two colors, so black and the profession color, which looks nice, I think. It's very clear. The text on the cards is clear. The icons are clear, and the QR codes scan very well, at least for me. And they've tested it with several devices and it seems to work really nicely. So yeah, the artwork and the printing looks good in my opinion, and I really like what they've done with this so far, and I can't wait to see what else they have in store for us. The theme is pretty standard. It's a fantasy adventure with your standard fantasy characters like the cleric and the rogue and the barbarian and the dwarf. And there's 6 of them in the base game, and perhaps in future expansions, if this game does become very popular, they might have new characters, who knows, with new cards. So that will be pretty nice to see. I'm really hoping this game does well. So I like the theme. I like cooperative dungeon crawlers, and I like, exploring as you go, so you don't know what's coming. You don't have to set up the entire board up front. That saves on setup time, and it doesn't spoil anything for you. You'll just play through with the app, and the app will tell you which tiles to place, and that's when you find out what's behind that corner. So I like that a lot as well, which also brings me to the gameplay. Gameplay is very simple. It's very intuitive. You don't need to read a lot of rules to get started. There's just a couple of things that are explained in the rule book. There is a rule book which does explain everything, but it's more of a reference because you just take the app and you just get started. The app tells you what to do. It has lots of lore that you can read, and I like reading and playing as your character, so a little bit of a role playing there, and doing the voices. All of that is encouraged, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, so that works really intuitive and really simple. You just press the buttons on the app, tell it what you want to do, and then it will tell you what to scan. And you can use items on other things. So you can use a lockpick by scanning that token, on a door by scanning that door, and then it will tell you if you succeed or not. And the combat also works really easily. You just tell the app which combat card you're using, and that will automatically assign a target because of the target icons on the card, which you can also read on the card, and that will tell you who to target, how fast the attack is, how much damage it does, if you have some extra protection by getting some armor or not. And that's basically it. It tells you what it does at the bottom here, and that was all very clear. So you just look at your cards and decide who you want to target, which skill you want to use, and just scan that card, and then battle will just commence automatically, and then the first round ends and you continue until you either lose or defeat the enemies, and then you continue through the story. Should you lose in the game, or otherwise you get defeated or whatever, then you can always go back a few steps. The game will ask you if you want to restart from the last decision you made, basically, and then you can make a different decision or different actions and go a different route and try to figure out how to advance that way. So you don't have to restart the entire chapter that you're on, and you can just continue playing. You can, of course, choose to restart after you've played a chapter or you didn't get very far, and choose different characters and try entirely different tactics. That's all up to you, but you don't have to restart it should you lose. There is a saving mechanism basically built in the app. And I also think it's very easy to use the app. Everybody can use their own phone or mobile device to play the game. You can also play the hot seat mode, where you have one device to scan everything with and you just pass it around. And some people might not like having to use an app or mobile devices for a game, but there's a lot of games that do, and they are very popular. Think of Chronicles of Crime, for example, Destinies by Lucky Duck Games. There's a lot of games that use apps. There's Mansions of Madness, 2nd edition, Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth, and all of those use an app, and all of those are very popular games. Plus, it has kind of an upside too, because normally at a gaming night where you're sitting at a table with your friends, you don't want your friends to be occupied with their phones, but now they're gonna be occupied with their phones playing the game, so there's no other distraction going on there. So it kind of is a positive thing as well in this game. And I also like the fact that using an app like this gives you basically infinite possibilities for expansions. They can just use the same components that you get in the base game to make new chapters by just writing new stuff that happens when you scan a QR code, because the QR code you scan in chapter 1 can do something entirely different for the same room in chapter 2. It's just a matter of writing. So I hope this game becomes very popular and, you know, gets distributed far and wide so that they can gather enough resources to make more stories. And they can do so in several different ways. They've told me they have plans for making expansions that you can simply download in the app and just add to your stories and just continue playing with the physical stuff that you have from the core game. And if that becomes very successful, they could also actually put out physical expansions with perhaps new monster standees, new tiles, perhaps even a new character with a new deck of cards, like a new profession. So all of that sounds very exciting, and I'm really hoping that that will happen in the future. The replayability seems to be pretty high for that same reason. Now, the core game will, I believe, come with 8 chapters, and there might be some additional chapters from stretch goals. But once you've played through all of them, you can of course play them again with different characters and try different strategies, different approaches to solving a problem or getting past that guard. You could try attacking a guard or sneaking past a guard, whatever. So there's a lot of things that you can do in one single chapter, and by using different strategies or different characters. So I do feel that playing through these chapters will probably, you know, be a lot of fun to do several times. Not indefinitely, of course. At some point you will probably have seen it all and read all the stories. But, you know, if you're playing with different people, that'll be a lot of fun as well. But like I said, if they can just easily make new chapters by just writing new stuff and putting it in the app that you can download, then there might be a whole lot of new content going, which of course makes the longevity of the game a lot bigger. Finally, there is the language dependency. Because this is a story-driven game, there is of course a language dependency. There's a lot of text to read. There's text on the cards with your actions. There's a lot of text in the app, of course. So you do need to have a good grasp of the English language to be able to play this. So the game is 100% language dependent. But in the end, I did have a lot of fun with this. I enjoyed playing the tutorial. I enjoyed playing the first scenario just to get to know all the characters. I tried different ones and to see how I can approach several problems differently. And I also played it online. You can find links to that in the description below, because you can play this digitally on a Tabletopia and Tabletop Simulator. Just go to the Delft Brothers Discord server to find people to play with. And of course, the designers will happily explain how to use those tools to play it online. They'll perhaps be a little busy during the Kickstarter, but there's plenty of people on the Discord that will help you further. Now, one last thing I need to mention is that the game doesn't ship worldwide. It doesn't currently ship to the European Union, sadly, but they are looking into ways of making that happen, I've been told. So hopefully before the end of the campaign or during the Pledge Manager, they will find a way to get the physical copy of the game to Europe as well. But otherwise, you can still pledge for a $10 pledge to get the print and play full version of the game. Now, Now remember, you can download this tutorial for free. I'll put a link in the description as well, so you can try it out. But for just $10, you can get the entire game ready to print and play. So you can just get that. And then during the Pledge Manager, should they have found a way to get the physical copy to Europe, you can always upgrade in the Pledge Manager later and decide what you want to do. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you hit the bell icon, you'll also get notified whenever I upload a new video. Please also consider becoming a Patreon saint to my channel by clicking the Patreon link in the description below, or the icon at the end of this video, and there you will have access to some Patreon exclusive videos, and you'll get your name in the credits of my videos as well, which is greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Board Game Heaven.